gullible morons who'll believe anything and just want to please grown-ups. And they don't have any frame of reference. So they normalize whatever's happening. That's why endlessly talking about gender to 6-year-olds isn't just inappropriate. It's what the law would call entrapment, which means enticing people into doing something they wouldn't ordinarily do. And if you think that some of that isn't going on with gender in schools, you're not watching enough TikTok videos.
I pledge allegiance to the queers.
I'm not allowed to be out as trans non-binary at school.
Kids are easy to influence. They trust adults and don't know enough to question what they're told. So when schools keep bringing up gender topics with very young children, it's not just strange, it feels like they're pushing kids into things they wouldn't naturally consider. That's called entrapment, getting someone to do something they might not have done on their own. And if you don't think this is happening in classrooms, just spend some time watching TikTok videos. You'll see it. Some people are saying things like, I pledge allegiance to the queers, and talking about not being allowed to come out as trans or non-binary at school. It's a lot to put on kids who just want to learn the alphabet. Now, this next part gets...
The evil governor of Florida was saying the exact same thing about kids and creepy stuff at Disney that liberals now find intolerable at Nickelodeon. He was dismissed as a hick and a bigot, but why would a kids' content factory like Disney be all that different than the one at Nickelodeon? The reason we find in the Boy Scouts and the Rectory and kids' TV is that's where the kids are. DeSantis wasn't wrong, but we're so tribal now, the left will overlook child if the guy from the wrong party calls it out.
Heavy. Bill Maher has always leaned left. He was one of the voices that helped shape progressive thinking. But now, he's had enough. It's not a joke anymore. He's watching the left crumble and is stepping away, not quietly, but loudly and clearly. Why? Because the left isn't what it used to be. It's become a mess of double standards and extremes. Maher's not just annoyed, he's disgusted. He's watched his party ignore truth, bend the rules, and attack anyone, liberal or not, who doesn't follow the script. Remember when Ron DeSantis, Florida's governor, warned about creepy stuff being pushed on kids through companies like Disney? The left called him a bigot. But now those same people are angry at Nickelodeon for doing similar things. So which is it? If you care about kids, shouldn't you call out
People who believe in social justice have agreed this is wrong and this is bad, and exposing kids to an adult world of lurid costumes and garish makeup borders on abuse. Now hurry up and get in the car. We're late for Drag Queen Story Hour.
bad behavior no matter who speaks up? Maher points out something important. Redditors go where kids are: Boy Scouts, churches, kids' TV, and the left will even overlook serious problems if calling them out might benefit the wrong political side. It's all about protecting their tribe, not doing what's right. Bill Maher isn't a conservative, but he is someone who believes in being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. And that makes him dangerous to the new left, because he's not playing along anymore. When someone like Maher says, "This is too much, it's time to stop and listen," he's not trying to score political points. He's saying that exposing kids to over-the-top adult behavior under the banner of inclusion has gone too far. And then, without a hint of irony, the same people say, "Get in the car. We're late for Drag Queen Story Hour." Maher's walking away from all of it. And maybe it's time more people did.
That there's anything wrong with being a drag queen, but maybe it's time to admit that sometimes Drag Queen Story Hour is more for the queen than the kids. Sure, kids love a clown, but does the clown have to have tits?
2. Here's where Bill Maher really calls them out. The left constantly talks about love and inclusion, but behind the scenes, it's full of hypocrisy, arrogance, and twisted priorities. They say they care about protecting kids, but then they pull those same kids into adult conversations way too early. There's nothing caring about pushing young children into complex topics, like gender identity, or letting them be part of events that aren't age-appropriate. Left loves to claim the moral high ground, but their idea of morality seems broken. It's not about love for kids, it's about control. Maher sees it clearly now, and he's refusing to go along with it anymore. And really, who can blame him? This isn't progress, it's something else entirely. Pretending to be kindness, he makes a sarcastic but sharp point. No one's saying there's something wrong with drag queens in general, but maybe it's time to admit that Drag Queen Story Hour isn't really for the...
See a 5-year-old tipping at a bar under a sign that says it's not going to lick itself? Do I have to pretend that's cool in order to keep my liberal ID card? Sorry, I can't do that. If you want kids to be more tolerant, why not have handicapped people read them stories? Kids are more likely to encounter disabled people than drag queens in life. Geez, can't we just go back to the good old days when kids were read simple stories with simple morals like, if you're a lonely single man, just make a boy out of wood?
Kids it's for the adults in the room. Sure, kids like clowns, but why does the clown have to be dressed with fake breasts? That line may go over the heads of many progressives, but Maher gets it. These events aren't about learning. They're about giving adults space to express themselves, not about what's actually good for the kids. It's not education, it's performance. It's not helping children grow, it's giving adults attention and validation. And the worst part, people know this, but they still do it, because anyone who questions it risks being called hateful or bigoted. Maher isn't afraid of those labels anymore. He's saying what a lot of people are thinking but don't dare say out loud. Stop using kids as props in adult debates. And then there's the moment that really
Said it before, wokeness is not an extension of liberalism anymore. It's more often taking something so far that it becomes the opposite. Teaching kids not to hate or judge those who are different, great. Proud we got there, all for that. But at a certain point, inclusion becomes promotion. And contrary to current progressive dogma, children aren't miniature adults wise beyond their years, they're morons.
hits hard. Maher brings up seeing a 5-year-old at a bar, tipping money to a performer under a sign that says, "It's not going to lick itself." And people are supposed to pretend this is okay just to stay in good standing with liberal culture. He won't do it. If we want kids to learn tolerance and understanding, why not have someone with a disability read to them? That's someone they're far more likely to meet in real life than a drag performer. It makes more sense. Can't we go back to when kids' stories were simple? Stories that taught courage, kindness, and honesty. Stories like Pinocchio, a lonely man making a wooden boy, not a bunny, fighting oppression while figuring out its gender. You can hear Maher's frustration. Childhood used to be about wonder, imagination, and safety. Now it feels like a political battlefield. What should be innocent is being loaded with agendas. Maher wants to
Gullible morons who'll believe anything and just want to please grown-ups. And they don't have any frame of reference. So they normalize whatever's happening. That's why endlessly talking about gender to 6-year-olds isn't just inappropriate. It's what the law would call entrapment, which means enticing people into doing something they wouldn't ordinarily do. For example, after 9/11, there were several cases of overzealous federal agents leading sad losers into terrorist plots, like the undercover FBI agent who got 7 out-of-work dudes in Liberty City, Florida, to sign on to a plot to bomb the Sears Tower in Chicago. Oh, please, these guys didn't even have a gun.
Protect what's left of childhood, and he's not afraid to say the quiet part out loud anymore. Bill Maher is heartbroken watching how childhood, in essence, is being replaced with heavy political messages. He's made it clear he's had enough of kids being pulled into adult issues for the sake of social experiments. He says it again. This whole idea of being woke isn't just a part of liberal values anymore. It's gone so far, it's turning into the opposite of what it claims to be. Teaching children to be kind and not judge others is good. That's progress. But there's a line. After a while, including everyone turns into pushing an agenda. And here's the truth, Maher refuses to sugarcoat. Kids aren't little adults. They don't
think that some of that isn't going on with gender in schools. You're not watching enough TikTok videos.
I pledge allegiance to the queers.
I'm not allowed to be out as trans non-binary at school. My response to this is to be as obnoxiously queer as possible.
There's a certain kind of activist these days who wants to take heterosexuality, old school, old-fashioned, boring, minding its own business heterosexuality, and lump it in with patriarchy and sexism and racism and tell kids, wouldn't it be cool if you were anything but that?
Don't have wisdom. They're still figuring life out. They'll believe almost anything just to please the adults around them. That's why endlessly talking about gender identity to 6-year-olds isn't just bad judgment, it's like leading someone into something they wouldn't normally choose, something the law might even call entrapment. Maher says this isn't just about loud activists in schools or online. The problem goes all the way up to the top of the Democratic Party. He calls out people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Gavin Newsom. Bernie used to speak out against millionaires until he became one. Now he focuses on billionaires instead, as if that makes a difference. Gavin Newsom made bizarre choices like letting...
I never used the phrase gay agenda because I thought it was mostly nonsense, and it is. Mostly. But a director for Disney Television Animation did say after she was hired,
the showrunners were super welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness. No one would stop me and no one was trying to stop me.
look, I'm all for adding queerness wherever. I put some in my drink before I came out here tonight. But maybe we should think about giving kids a break from our culture wars for a minute.
Homes burned to protect a fish. And AOC suggests you're sexist if you didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Maher isn't impressed. To him, this isn't leadership. It's people pretending to be heroes while pushing strange ideas in a polished package. And that's Maher's biggest message. If this is the future of the Democratic Party, count him out. He's not going to follow people who act more like members of a fan club than serious leaders. He's not buying the hashtags and the catchy slogans anymore. He sees where all this is heading: chaos, division, and failure. He brings it full circle. Young kids are being made into pawns. They don't understand what's happening, but they go along with it because that's what kids do. It's how kids are wired. They copy what adults say, even when they don't fully get it. Mark compares it to those.
Want to win my vote? Don't give me the ick. You know what the ick is, right? It's a term mostly used in the dating world to describe that moment when one of the people, usually the man, does something so icky that the woman cannot forgive it or forget it. Like sending a dick pic or being mean to the waitress, paying for dinner with a coupon, getting his mother to call you when you dump him, asking for sex in baby voice. Once you give her the ick, it's a wrap.
FBI sting operations after 9/11s. In one case, federal agents convinced a group of jobless men in Florida to agree to a fake terrorist plan event, though they didn't even have weapons. They didn't start out wanting to hurt anyone, they were just talked into it. This is what Maher sees happening now. He may not be joining the conservative side, but when it comes to protecting kids, he draws a clear line. And in his view, the left has crossed it. They're not just promoting ideas, they're reshaping what it means to be a child. And Maher won't stay silent about it. Bill Maher is joining millions of everyday Americans, parents, teachers, and even conservatives who are worried about what's happening to kids. He's not okay with drag shows for children.
Weeks ago, Bobby Kennedy, scion of the most storied dynasty in Democratic Party history, dropped out of the presidential race and threw his support not to the Democrat, but to Trump. And everyone all at once said the same thing. Bobby Kennedy did something weird?
Hormone treatments for teens, or pronoun drills in kindergarten. The left doesn't seem bothered by any of this. But Maher is. That's why he's stepping away from the political party he once stood with. When someone like Maher, a longtime liberal, starts agreeing with conservatives on how we should treat children, it's a sign that something's gone wrong. And if you think none of this is happening in schools, he says, just open TikTok. This isn't just about personal identity anymore. It's about pushing that identity into classrooms. Even for very young children. Maher sees a new kind of activist now, one who treats being straight like it's a problem. These activists act like traditional relationships, like a man and woman raising a family, are outdated or even harmful. They teach kids it's cooler to be anything but straight. Maher misses the days when being straight wasn't controversial. Now, it's been painted as part of the problem. People who live simple, traditional lives are treated like they're old-fashioned or even offensive. He also points out how straight men, in particular, are blamed for almost everything: climate change, racism, even colonialism. Maher doesn't buy into that. He's done apologizing for being a straight man who likes women. That shouldn't be something anyone has to explain or defend. He jokes that he used to roll his eyes at terms like gay agenda because it sounded like a conspiracy theory, but then he saw the proof with his own eyes. A Disney TV executive openly admitted she was pushing LGBTQ+ themes into children's shows and nobody stopped her. Maher joked, "I'm all for adding queerness. I put some in my drink before I came out tonight," but then he got serious. Maybe it's time to stop dragging kids into the culture wars. For years, conservatives were told they were paranoid for saying schools